Royal Rumble coming up, some news, and then we're going to take off our masks and talk about the top 10 masks and face paints in wrestling history, all here tonight, today, ladies and gentlemen, on Just Another Effing Podcast. Hit the music. Coming to you live from the effing Worldwide Media Studios, located in parts unknown, it's Just Another Effing Podcast. And welcome to Just Another Podcast. I am your host. I am one half of the undisputed, undefeated wrestling tag team champions of the world. It's the JFB, James from Boston.
And it's me, your patron saint of professional wrestling. It's that gingered up, bubbly son of a bitch. I'm Canada Dry, damn it.
Ba, 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 ba. And we are joined by the lovable Maddie Hawkins. Maddie Hawkins, welcome to Just Another Effing Podcast, brother.
Just lovable, loudmouth, son of a bitch. Got it.
And there's a
All right,
running gag we have with Maddie. I love you.
I don't like you, but I love you.
Maddie runs our trivia for All Effing Wrestling.
Hell yeah, he does. He does an awesome job, man. I cannot wait to be a host of that show. Only because the JFB is a great host, but he doesn't know squat about trivia. He becomes all thumbs at trying to guess trivia.
It's fine. You get heat anyway, so whatever you do, we get heat.
I get nuclear heat, baby. I can melt Antarctica with just a mention, utter words out of my mouth, and I can melt the Arctic ice. That is for sure. So let's get to our favorite part of the show. We're talking about the news. God, what $1 million intro. The news, ladies and gentlemen.
Joseph, hold on a sec here. Joseph let us know something here.
Our running banner is from last week. You are correct. It is from last week. We're gonna take the banner off. Technical difficulties running amok. The gremlins are in the machine. It's the ghost in the machine, ladies and gentlemen.
That's tonight from the other podcast.
So let's get to the news really quickly. And so a 5-star match is a 5-star match was given by Dave Meltzer of all people for the Sammy Guevara and Cody Rhodes match. Me personally, I gave it 4.5. I don't know if it was exactly a 5-star match per se. It was a great match. I mean, don't get me wrong, it brought the house down, but you know, is it the best ladder match that AEW has ever had? Maybe. Best ever, though? Probably not. What are you guys' thoughts?
I agree with Dave Meltzer. Just those spots alone. That cutter off the ladder, the risk that Sammy took to smash into Cody lying on the ladder. You know, that was pay-per-view quality. I agree. It was 5.
Yeah. What do you think, Mr. Hawkins?
I'm like you. I think it's probably 4-star. I didn't find it 5-star. Is it the best? It's the best ladder match in AEW, but I don't think ever It cannot compare to Razor Ramon and HBK.
No.
So for that to give it 5 stars, he must have been high or something.
Yeah. So, of course, WrestleMania season started this Saturday. At the Royal Rumble, Ronda Rousey returned and laid claim to being the number 1 contender for whichever belt she chooses to go after. Likelihood is she is going after the SmackDown title, as she faced off against Charlotte Flair the last 2 in the Women's Rumble. And then Brock Lesnar, moments after losing the WWE Heavyweight Championship, decided, what the hell? I'm going to come into the Rumble, and he wins. The only forbidden door I see WWE opening is the one that goes to UFC, ladies and gentlemen, as 2 former UFC combatants have decided to win the Royal Rumble, Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar. What is everybody's thoughts on the Rumble?
I think that women's Rumble, I thought it was straight out entertaining. I was glued to the TV the whole time. Only thing I hated about it was that Melina throw out at the beginning.
Yeah.
Give the girl at least 5 minutes of spotlight.
I think it was accidental. I think she slipped, didn't she? It was.
That's what someone's saying. I have to rewatch it. Did you see it, Jimmy?
It was accidental. So she was supposed to hang on, but she slipped on her foot and she went off.
Was it?
Yeah, she definitely. It was a pratfall.
Yeah,
it was a guffaw.
It was a boxful.
Yeah. Okay.
What did you think of the Rumble overall, Mr. Hawkins?
I found it enjoyable. I did enjoy the women's more to the men's.
Yeah.
I did call it that Ronda will return.
Yeah.
But I did not expect Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair doing such a great Iron Woman kind of a performance.
Yeah.
With the men, you knew what was going to happen as soon as Brock lost the title.
Yeah, exactly. So WWE decided to lure back Jeff Hardy by offering him entry into the WWE Hall of Fame. Jeff says he wants to see these so-called drug tests that were taken, the results, and so far WWE has not shown that to him.
No breaking news. This was released a couple days ago. Go ahead, Maddie.
He showed, apparently it was negative, and he just flat out refused, saying, "Screw you, WWE."
Yeah, as well as he should. I mean, here's the deal. The man's got a history of addiction, and there's no getting around it. I think it's bad voodoo that they did him that dirty, like they did, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't go back either. I think Jeff is going to succeed no matter where he goes, and who knows? It very well could be AEW.
Well, it's no secret. It will be the Hardy Boys one last tag team championship run versus just a good old Young Bucks back and forth. Will be fun.
I think that'd be great. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Big E officially traded from Raw to SmackDown, is now reuniting with the New Day. Top Dollar possibly returning to WWE. He was on a podcast earlier this week in which he talked about writing the fight song for the Kansas City Chiefs, and then talked briefly that he's been in talks with Brass at WWE, and it might be a possible return. I'd like to see Top Dollar. I'd like to see Top Dollar come back to WWE. I think they squandered that opportunity and that chance. I'd love to see him back. What are your guys' thoughts on Top Dollar?
I think he's talented.
Yeah.
I just think he's major talented, and for him to be released in the first place, it was stupid.
Yeah.
But for Big E to come back to SmackDown also, that's best. That's the best decision WWE's done in weeks.
Yeah.
I think that Top Dollar oozes with charisma.
Yeah.
He's got the size. He's got the look. He's got the talent. Pair him up with Bad Bunny and just run amok.
Yeah. Bad Bunny. There are no plans currently for Triple H to return to NXT because of health issues. And then speaking of NXT, Finn Balor wanted to actually go back to NXT UK. And Vince said, no, maybe in a couple years, but right now you're needed on SmackDown. I like Finn in NXT better than I like Finn on the main roster. I think him and Devlin as a tag team or a faction in NXT UK would just be holy shit. That would just be phenomenal. Canada Dry, your thoughts on Triple H not coming back possibly anytime soon and Finn Balor wanting to go to NXT UK?
I wonder if Triple H is just needing a break from all the bullshit. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he's just needing a break from all the bullshit. But I would like to see Finn booked the way he was when he first came up from NXT.
Yeah,
and just win a title, be booked dominantly. That's the only way you can do it with Finn.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Maddie?
With Triple H, I think it's about deserved rest. He has carried the company behind the scenes on his shoulders. I think without his NXT black and gold,
yeah,
he will be in a way worse state than it is now. With Finn, I remember watching Finn at ICW when he first appeared on there as a demon. And when it's in the UK, it's more special.
Yeah.
And I go to NXT UK shows a lot. I would love for him to just pop up and have a match with Dragovich or something like that. That'd be amazing.
This is X-rated. I'll sign Finn to my bedroom to a 2-day deal.
So Danhausen is no longer unemployed. Not only is he working hourly for A&W, the root beer company, but he is also AEW's All Elite newest signee. He made his appearance at Dynamite. He interfered in the Adam Cole Pockets match. And holy cow, man, it's so good to see Danhausen alive and well and possibly wrecking havoc with teeth in AEW Dynamite. You guys thought on Danhausen showing up and wrecking havoc?
Go ahead, Maddie.
Well, I'm a massive fan of him. I loved him for all the indies. So for him to finally get an AEW contract, I say future TNT or whatever it is, the TV champion. I think he'll be that kind of card at the moment. But with him and Adam Cole, I just cannot wait to see where that goes.
Oh, yeah.
Joseph would disagree with you, but he is very good, but he is very evil.
Yes.
Danhausen is an entertainment specialist.
Oh, yeah.
He could be the shittiest wrestler in the world and still deserve this contract because everything he does on social media, just his comments, everything. He gave himself a winning record on Twitter today, 100-0 in AEW. So.
100-0, ladies and gentlemen. Hasn't even had an official match. And we get 100-0. That is how awesome Danhausen truly is. And our last bit, Ring of Honor. If you thought Ring of Honor was never going to come back, ladies and gentlemen, they're coming back in some kind of variety. But here's some news. Ring of Honor is actually going to debut a new Ring of Honor Hall of Fame. They will start listing entrants in throughout the month of February, both on their shows, and on the shows on YouTube, as well as through press releases. So if you had to pick two people from Ring of Honor's beautiful 20-year history, two guys or two girls or one of each, who do you put in to the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame?
I'll go first. You put CM Punk and the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, that's not bad. Maddie, what do you think?
I got Samoa Joe and Tyler Black.
Ooh, that's not bad at all. I'm gonna Samoa Joe and Bryan Danielson for me are just those are the ones you want to go with because those guys are freaking phenomenal. I mean, the history is just beautiful. Jay Lethal, obviously, he could be in consideration.
I think we'll have all the above.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, I mean, you're talking about years and years, 20-year history of Ring of Honor. A lot of great wrestlers have come and gone through Ring of Honor. To me, that's just gold right there. I mean, like I said, I mean, you could go a numerous amount of directions, but we'll find out quickly within the next couple of weeks who is going to be inducted into the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame.
It's gonna be special.
And so with that said, I think it's time for the main event. Yeah, it's time for the main event.
Gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
That is right, man. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the main event. And if you tuned in a few seconds earlier, you would have seen, of course, us wearing masks. And that is what our top 10 is. Top 10 masks and face paints of all time. Now, we have curated this list very carefully. There was heated debate. There was threats of boycotting. There was name calling. That was just the people trying to get on the list. That's just people trying to get on the list. I'm not even going to tell you about the backstabbing and back office politics between me and Canada Dry. That's not worth listening to. But let's talk about, of course, our top 10 face masks or masks and face paints. And we're going to start with number 10. And I want to let you know that ahead of time that we did not put this up for vote at all. And for good reason. We wanted to really get down to the nitty gritty and really debate it amongst ourselves. I can guarantee you our next top 10 list will be online for voting, but this one was not. So number 10, you can't go wrong with these two guys. Ladies and gentlemen, Demolition. What do you do when a team like the Road Warriors are tearing apart other territories across the globe? If you're Vince, then you grab two veterans, Bill Eadie and Barry Darsow, fit them in the finest S&M leather gear, and give them some really cool war paint and let them run ramshot through the WWE. Silver and red makeup was the slightest edge over their counterparts, the Road Warriors. Let's talk about Demolition really quickly. To me, I'm a Road Warriors fan. I won't lie. I'm a huge Road Warriors fan. Always have been. Was not a fan of Demolition until much later on, within the last 5 years, rewatching their footage and realizing these two veterans were just absolutely amazing and a great answer for the Road Warriors quotient. What are your guys' thoughts on our number 10, Demolition?
Well, I like you. We debated who should get the spot, the Road Warriors or Demolition.
Yeah.
And just because the Demolition doesn't get as much attention, we wanted to go with Demolition, and for good reason. They're so underrated.
Yeah.
One of the greatest tag teams of all time, and they're not even in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That face paint is more detailed.
The reason they're not in the Hall of Fame is because they're at the moment suing WWE, and so obviously they cannot go in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But I agree with both of you. I'm a Road Warrior guy. I mean, throughout, I hated Demolition to a T. But looking back through their history, even when they did the repo, they're one of the best top 10 tag teams in history, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're absolutely fantastic. I love My favorite, I love Bill Eadie and I love Barry Darso. I mean, both of those guys were veterans well before Demolition formed. Vince could have grabbed any two guys out of the back and said, guess what? We're going to make you look like a bunch of sex workers. And then we're going to go ahead and throw you in the ring as a tag team. And he grabbed the two right guys, and their chemistry was pretty much instant from the time they showed up until the time they disbanded, regardless of Crush and the other guy that showed up later after Edie left. They were absolutely amazing. Which brings us to numero 9, the Lucha Bros. We could do an entire episode on lucha hoods or masks. And on the 7th episode, we would finally rest. Even today, the near century-long tradition of Mexican wrestlers wearing masks continues, and no team does it better than El Pentazero Miedo, or as Pentagon Jr., and Rey Fenix. Rey's is pretty extravagant. He's got flaming wings coming off of the main mask. Penta's has open mouth, open eyes, with a headband on the top, flaps covering the neck and the sides. These are two legitimate brothers. They are real brothers. Rock multiple colors of their masks, matching the rest of their gear. Me personally, I love Mexican wrestling. I love these guys in AAA, but I fell in love with Penta and Phoenix in Lucha Underground. They just debuted beautifully, and that match between Vampiro and Penta with light tubes, to me, is still one of my all-time favorite hardcore matches. The amount of blood spilled was just amazing. So let's talk about the Lucha Bros, the former tag team champions.
Wow. That match they had with the Young Bucks, we talk about 5-star. That easily was a 5-star match. And I love the Zero Mito. I don't know if I'm saying it right. He's got paint and a mask, so he's double on this list.
Yeah.
And what can you say about Rey Fenix? That guy has more talent in his little finger.
Yeah.
Than most of us have in our whole bodies.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna say it. He's better than Rey Mysterio.
Wow. That's
heat right there.
that's a Babe Ruth called shot right there.
I'm gonna say it.
I did watch, obviously over here it's hard to get Lucha Underground. So my first time seeing these two was in AEW.
Yeah.
They're my number one tag team in the whole of wrestling industry after watching them. And just watching Rey Fenix, even get his arm snapping or whatever happened to him a couple of weeks ago, and still ready to go out and wrestle. These two are just like, they are like, well, they're not Rey Mysterio, but they're getting, I think they're right near that pinnacle of like legendary.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong with the luchador style is just very unique. It's very different. And it took Americans a lot of years to really get used to that style. Penta has a couple more years advantage than Phoenix does in terms of just veteranship and years in the ring. But I love them both. And they're as great of a tag team as they are. The two of them against each other is actually really good too. They have had some epic battles both in Mexico.
Do you guys want to see a brother versus brother battle in AEW?
Yeah, hell yeah,
I would love it.
I'd love to see it.
They teased it a bit when they're with Kingston, but
yeah, it's going to be interesting. So let's go to our number 8. This was one of my picks, and I cannot tell you how much I love our number 8, and that is, of course, the poison spitting, the great and powerful Muda. As was tradition of most Japanese wrestlers coming to abroad to work, they were dangerous foreigners, and some of them wore masks as well. Then came Kaiji Muto, known in the States as the over-the-top poison mist spraying Great Muda. His face paint varied in color, but always had Kenji symbols on his face. Whenever you saw Muta, be it in WCW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, if you saw Muta in the face paint, you were going to get one badass heel in the game, a man who invented not only moves that are still used today, but a scale of the amount of blood spilled in a match called the Muta scale. Let's talk about the great and powerful Muta. My introduction to him was in WCW. He was just a nut. And then I started watching Japanese wrestling and was like, hey, this guy without face paint wrestles very much like the great Muta. It turns out it was just him without the face paint. So let's talk about Muta. What are you guys' thoughts on our number 8?
Go ahead, Maddie.
One of the top Japanese wrestlers of all time, obviously. Yeah. I have the same as you. I first got introduced with him in WCW. I didn't think it was good for him to join the NWL, but just watching him wrestle, you're in a match where it's just entertaining, and you think, thank God I'm not facing him.
Yeah, absolutely. Cam to Draw, your thoughts on the great and powerful Muta?
Just like both of you, I was introduced to him in WCW, and I thought that they needed to show more of him. We didn't get much of him in WCW, but what we did get was phenomenal. And I wish I could. I probably could go back and see more of the great Muta on YouTube and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to check out Muta stuff, obviously the WCW stuff. However, I will say this: if you want to see two guys go to war against each other, him and Liger, they had some epic battles, amazing wars between each other, both in the Muta makeup and without the Muta makeup. They were two of the biggest innovators in Japan in the early 80s, and really when New Japan was really taking off and sending guys to WCW. But yeah, I mean, go on YouTube, watch some Muta stuff. I mean, he's more than just a mask and a face paint. The dragon leg corkscrew is one of his moves he created, and had an amazing career. So let's go to our number 7. The minute you hear his music, you know who it's going to be, and you know the energy that's coming with it, and that is, of course, the Ultimate Warrior. Regardless of his reputation among not only wrestlers but fans alike, there was something about this jacked up warrior of the gods that when he ran out, you got pumped up. His makeup in the WWE would stay the same, what looked like bat wings down the nose and around the eyes, but the color scheme always changed and his gear would match. Let's talk about Mr. Helling, or no, he's officially known as the Warrior because he did change his name. Let's talk about Ultimate Warrior, guys.
Wow, this guy came out. It seemed like he came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And just that rocket was strapped to his back, and he became an instant superstar, almost on Hulk Hogan's level. I remember when he won against the Honky Tonk Man. I was so disappointed because I wanted Beefcake to win that Intercontinental belt so bad.
Yeah.
But wow, like everyone loved the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Mr. Hawkins, on the Ultimate Warrior?
I'm a massive fan of his work. I mean, the Hogan and Ultimate Warrior build-up was like, I never seen two titles face each other. It was like a really first thing for me to watch. And just even throughout, like even when he came back in 96, I was like, and you just can't help but just feel, I just want to take the ropes. I remember going to a party once and had the face mask and just had it over. I was like, yes, I'm the Warrior.
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing because he was my first introduction into actual physical physique of a wrestler, because you had muscular wrestlers, you had Hulk Hogan, but nobody looked like Ultimate Warrior. Nobody looked like him. I mean, the veins, the biceps, just, the crazy hair, the energy. I don't know what he was on, but from the minute he cleared the curtain to the minute he finished the match, he was 120% go.
Well, you know what it was?
Oh, it's the
every
juice.
match, he downed like 5 pixie sticks. And he powered him through that.
Yeah, very well could be a sugar high. I think it was something else. But...
I think so too. Come
on. Yes, he was high on pixie sticks, boys and girls. Yeah, you don't ever want to take pixie sticks on an empty stomach.
No.
And then shotgun it with an energy drink. Trust me.
Nothing wrong with energy.
If I could find one, I'd do one live on the show next week, but they're hard to come by these things.
I will send you a pixie stick because I know a place to get them online. So that is our number 7. Let's go to our number 6. You can't talk lucha libre wrestling. You can't talk Mexican wrestling without talking about this guy. He is our number 6, El Santo, the Saint. There have been masked luchadors before him, but there was only one El Santo. He was above wrestling. He transcended wrestling. He was a champion of the common man. He was a comic book hero. He was a film and movie star and a folk hero to everybody in Mexico. El Santo the Saint wore a simple, open-eyed and open-mouthed silver mask that never changed. And he only once revealed his face on a TV show before a week later passing away. He is buried with his mask on when he passed away. And again, this is another show where the likelihood is we're going to have a part 2. We could probably have a part 3 as well. That's how ingrained the face paint and the masks are, especially in lucha libre. But Blue Demon, Dr. Wagner, Mil Mascaras, you have a ton. Yeah, you have a great number of Mexican wrestlers that were very important to lucha libre, but nobody was as big or transcended than El Santo. He was in comic books. He was in movies. I've watched the movies. The movies are out there. I mean, they're crazy, but he's just amazing in that simple mask. There's no additional splash of colors, nothing. Let's talk about El Santo, the Saint.
Well, he's just a legend. Like the fact that he never was in WWF, was he?
He's inducted in the Hall of Fame, though.
But he wasn't. The fact that he is so over.
Yeah.
While never being in any major promotion in the United States speaks largely to how good he was.
Yeah.
And guys like Rey Mysterio and people like that looked up to him and carved out a career based on this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Hawkins, let's paint a pretty picture about El Santo.
There's ways to people talk about Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
This guy's on it.
Yeah.
There's no way of doubts. Like in Mexico, he's literally God to a lot of them.
Yeah.
And he is that worshipped over there. More over than Hogan, more over than Sting, more over than all past wrestlers present. He is top notch. And he was so talented that he could have gone to WWF or WCW and still be champion for now.
Yeah.
So you're saying basically he's the Bret Hart of Mexico.
Yeah. He might be the Bret Hart of professional wrestling, period. There's nobody outside the war. There's nobody that can compete with him in terms of what he was able to do. I remember going on a family vacation to Mexico, to Cancun a few years ago. And while we were there, we stayed in an all-inclusive location, and they had this taco bar. And we went there a couple of times, but in a case, smack dab in the middle of this restaurant was a mask of El Santo, and there were posters of El Santo all over the place. And I pointed and I told my wife, I'm like, hey, that's El Santo. That's the Saint. And the Mexican, one of the waiters came up to me and said, you know El Santo? And I said, Yeah, I know who El Santo is. That's how much he's revered, that you go to a Mexican resort where it's mostly people that are not from Mexico staying there, and they still find ways to revere this man. That is how important.
So I know you collect masks, JFB.
Yes.
Do you have this mask?
I do not have an El Santo mask. I got close to buying one that was ring used.
Oh, wow.
But I got outbid at like the last second.
How much was it going for?
It was going for several $1,000.
Wow, you're lucky you lost.
Yeah.
You guys would have killed you.
I have thought about getting a replica because I do have the Blue Demon mask, and I do have a Dr. Wagner mask. So yeah, I think El Santo is not that far off. I have a feeling it's going to go on my birthday list of things to get.
Well, hopefully it's a knockoff and not an actual expensive ring used one.
I want to get one that's at least, that some of the knockoffs don't look very good. It's hard to replicate that look and that feel. My Blue Demon mask is pretty close. The guy I get my mask from is from Mexico, so that's pretty cool. So let's go to our number 5. We're halfway through our list, and our number 5 might be one of the greatest small guys to ever wrestle in the world. And that is, of course, Rey Mysterio Jr.
Oh, I love this mask. Look at this.
Yeah, no one popularized the look and style of lucha libre in Mexican wrestling than Rey Mysterio Jr. Following his uncle's footsteps, the once great Rey Mysterio, Rey fought with the tenacity and a fearlessness to the American audience. His masks have essentially stayed the same. A large cross on the forehead with an eagles faces on both sides. The colors have changed. I don't think I've ever seen the same mask twice. Let's talk about Rey. What are you guys' thoughts on Mr. Mysterio?
I love what they said on Talk is Jericho introducing Rey Mysterio. They were questioning, what is this little guy doing in a WCW ring?
Yeah.
And then they saw him in action, and they were just blown away. They couldn't believe what they were seeing, and he had instant credibility with the big guys.
Yeah.
They were just like, wow. So Rey Mysterio, I know I said that Rey Fenix is better, but he has more to work with than Rey. But Rey gets every inch of his size and puts it to use. Unbelievable.
Yeah. What do you think, Mr. Hawkins?
For me, Rey is top 10 of my favorite wrestlers of all time. For someone to go into WWE and face the likes of Great Khali, Big Show, and just to make that match, put them over, and he's one of the most loved wrestlers I ever known. I never heard a fan say a bad word about Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
And even with the massive his debut in WWE and just watching his matches in WCW and ECW, his match against Eddie Guerrero at WCW was one of the best matches they ever had. So I think Dominic will probably be up there soon if he follows his dad's footsteps more.
Cool. So one thing I will say, that mask, the eye versus eye match with Seth Rollins was one of the worst things that Rey was involved with the CGI. Oh my! Then he's on Raw the next night and his eyes fine.
But he worked it. He actually got over more, and he worked it for months.
Well, he found a way.
Yeah,
he always finds a way of making things work.
Yeah, my first introduction to Rey was ECW. And I watched this little man just dominate, and then you saw a floodgate open, and also ECW was giving lucha talent a place to work in America to further expand their brand. And him and Psychosis, La Parca. I mean, the list goes on and on of these great wrestlers that came through ECW, but Rey stood out because he was smaller and he could move a lot quicker. And you know, who will ever forget Kevin Nash lawn darting him into the side of a semi truck tractor trailer? I won't.
His match against Psychosis at ECW in the parking lot when he did a hurricane run on a car.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't make that shit up.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. It's insane. I mean, I can tell you this: there's going to be an ECW episode sooner than later because ECW really laid down a lot of foundation and the reasons why we have cruiserweight divisions and light heavyweight and blah blah blah. But Rey Mysterio. What's that?
One thing I'll say about the WCW Cruiserweight division, it was awesome. But they talked about the NWO the whole match.
Yeah.
And they really undermined their own product, which was
but
dumb.
Because of the Cruiserweights, it helped Nitro because they were the lower card. Yeah. So they got the fans interested, and then here comes the NWO and Goldberg as Sting.
Yep.
So if it wasn't for the Cruiserweights and for Dean Malenko, Rey, Psychosis, all those, there wouldn't be WCW before 2001.
I agree. All right, let's go to our number 4. We're in our top 4. And here we go. Number 4, the Sting. It's Sting.
It's Sting.
Face paint is always remembered, and none other is as well remembered or as iconic as the man called Sting. At first, his wing makeup was close to the Ultimate Warrior's face paint, and the color always changed with his gear. When the NWO came to be, Sting changed. Gone was the surfer look with the blonde flat top and the colorful garb. He took on the persona of the comic book and movie character The Crow, with a full face paint in white with black accents around the eyes and the mouth. While Crow Sting was awesome, Surfer Sting was always my fave. Let's talk about the man called Sting.
Sting, I think his character is what really defined him. That silent, hanging out in the rafters, just lurking there, being lowered down. Iconic. Like I'm not saying he's a bad wrestler, but just the vibe you get with Sting was what was special about him.
Yeah.
I didn't like the Wolfpack Sting with the red. It was horrible.
Yeah.
I like the Wolfpack with the red all that. I loved all that red and Wolfpack.
I think maybe if it was black with the red marks, it would have been better.
Could have been, but I still enjoyed it. I mean, I got introduced with Sting in '96 when I just saw WCW a little bit, but watching him with in the rafters, like you say, with a crow and him coming down the ceiling, you felt you felt his presence there, even when you were watching it on TV. And then when he left WCW, go to TNA, and he did the Joker.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that Joker gimmick was
that. Yes, he put that over like amazing. And I thought, bring that to like AEW just for one night.
Yeah,
that would be brilliant.
I hope they do.
I think they will. I mean, he changed with the times and then stuck with the gimmick that worked the best for him. I love Surfer Sting, the All-American Sting, the golden-haired God Sting. But Joker Sting was pretty close. Was a close second.
If you guys watch Rampage, I loved what they did with El Idolo and Darby Allin back and forth. That was a beautiful, beautiful segment.
Yeah.
I love seeing Sting referred to as Darby Allin's boss and just the back and forth there. It was one of the best segments I've seen in AEW so far.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to our number 3. Yeah, I mean, this guy is up and coming. I don't care what anybody says in the comments. We both agreed on our number 3, and that is Danhausen. Very good. Very evil. That sums up Danhausen in a nutshell with a full face paint starting with a white base, black around the eyes and lips, and black framing on the sides and the bottom of his face. It's amazing how much the face paint fits the gimmick. Little unknown fact, his face paint is an homage to Captain Howdy in the movie The Exorcist, which is only seen for 4 frames in that movie, and that's where he took it from. Let's talk about Danhausen. Very good, very evil.
Wow. As we said earlier in the news segment, just the entertainment value alone for this guy, everything he does seems to be gold.
Yeah.
I really hope he brings the teeth to AEW.
The jar teeth is creepy and hilarious.
Yes. The tattoos really play into this character as well. I don't think he would be as epic with that paint if he didn't have that big chest tattoo.
Yeah.
But wow. Danhausen is about to, if he was big before, he's about to have a rocket strapped to his back.
Yeah.
He doesn't even need a title.
No.
He's just big.
No. What do you think, Mr. Hawkins?
He's just super talented, isn't he? He is absolutely super talented and so entertaining. I do think I agree with Canada Dry. I think he'll have a rocket, like he'll just go further and further up the ladder. However, if he stays in the AEW, he gets that freedom.
Yeah,
he'll get that creative freedom. If he went elsewhere, he wouldn't. So go on.
Do you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see a Danhausen segment where he interviews people. That would just be so entertaining. It's a Danhausen interview segment where you go to his little, I don't know what you would call it, but
him versus Darby Allin would just be amazing also.
Yeah. I'm a huge nut for Danhausen. His unboxing videos is what introduced me to Danhausen. They said I had a buddy of mine who says you need to look up this guy on YouTube. His name is Danhausen. He says everything with Hausen in it. It's hilarious. I have never laughed so hard at an unboxing video than I have watching Danhausen unboxing stuff. Is absolutely hilarious. He is tops in my book. I can't wait to see what this guy does, because I only saw glimpses of him in Ring of Honor. I really want to see what this kid can do given the right platform, and I think he's got it. So, all right, let's go to our number 2. As voted by the JFB and Canada Dry, there is nobody more iconic. He's so iconic that you can assemble his face, his actual mask, in any WWE game. And you've been able to do that for the last, 15, 20 years. I am talking about Jushin Thunder Liger. There are iconic masks in the history of professional wrestling, and there is one that is known the world over. Kaiichi Yamada, better known to everyone as Jushin Thunder Liger. He's wrestled as the same gimmick for over 35 years and dominated the junior heavyweight division, not only in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but all over the world. His mask was legendary closed eyes with fangs, a lightning bolt over the top of his head, adorned by horns on each side. While he's had several colors for his mask, the red one is probably the most iconic and the most famous. He's also the only one on the list. Well, not the only one because Pentagon does. But Kishin Liger wore face paint underneath his mask, and he would tear it off. And it would have all this kanji writing on it, and that was his immortal character. And he only wore it for like 4 or 5 matches. So let's talk about Jushin Thunder Liger, Mr. New Japan Pro Wrestling. What do we got to say about him, guys?
Wow, just an icon of wrestling.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing him first in WCW, and I was like, wow, this mask is just elaborate.
Yeah.
And I love the elaborate masks like this. And You don't really think about this, but to perform the way they perform, in a mask. I saw you at the beginning of the show just before we started. You couldn't even read your own notes.
I had to take off the glasses.
Never mind, do a flip off the top ropes. Do all the crazy things they do. It just shows how talented guys like Jushin Thunder Liger are to do all this stuff.
Yeah,
while under a mask.
Yep.
It's amazing, and what a career he had.
Yeah,
just iconic.
Yeah. Let's talk about Mr. Hawkins. Let's talk about the Thunder one.
Just one word, iconic.
Yeah.
I remember his match against Brian Pillman.
Yeah.
In WCW.
Yeah.
And that match forever is one of my favorite matches of all time. The guy is super humble.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. I remember watching his Hall of Fame speech. I think it was last year.
Yeah.
And he's so humble. And I was thought, like you could just tell that he just loved what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he was like, is it for 40 years he's been doing this?
Yeah. Over 35 years. Yeah. Almost 40.
I mean, if you're a starting and you want to study someone, you study him.
Yeah. There's one match I will tell you to look up, and it is the match against Jushin Thunder Liger versus the Pegasus Kid, which is Chris Benoit for the Super Juniors tournament match, the title match. Unfreaking believable. 93, 94, I think is when it was. Look it up. It is probably one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. I still watch it, and it still brings a tear to my eye.
Did him and Owen ever wrestle?
That's a good question. I don't know that. Possibly. I know Owen's been in the Super J Cup or the Best of Super Juniors, so there's a good chance that they did. They did tussle. We'll have to look at cagematch.net and see. So we are going to our number one. Numero uno. I will say this. A lot of people are not going to like this, but there's purpose and reason behind our madness. Ladies and gentlemen, number one, the Blue Blazer. Is this the greatest and most iconic mask in the history of pro wrestling? No. Are we just a bunch of Owen marks?
Yes.
Yes. And that is the reason why he is number one on the list. In all seriousness, this was how Owen was debuted in WWE. Originally, it was the Blue Angel. Then the Navy sued him, the WWE, for using the term Blue Angel. And then he became the Blue Blazer. They changed it. They changed the mask several times. It was baby blue. It was dark blue. He had white around the eyes. He had red around the eyes. He had a combination of red and white. It was the big reason why we put him on here is because this was the last gimmick that Owen did before he passed away. And, as much as that we are huge Owen fans, we thought it'd be a good way to go ahead and just kind of pay tribute to a wrestler that was a very huge influence in our lives. So let's talk about the Blue Blazer, Mr. Owen Hart.
Joseph makes a very fine point.
Yeah.
I get the love for Owen, but number one, really, come on. Well, let me tell you this. Owen Hart has such a special place in our heart that anytime we get a chance, this guy's going to the top of the list. I don't care.
Yeah.
Owen was no one ever, we talk about Rey Mysterio. No one ever had a bad thing to say about Owen.
Yeah.
And the guy was years ahead of his time for a North American wrestler.
Yeah.
He was just fabulous.
Yeah. What do you think, Mr. Hawkins, about our number one?
Here's where I get heat. I don't agree with the number one for mass. If it's number one wrestler, I agree Owen Hart all day. I only saw Blue Blazer in 1999. So I saw that for a short period. But I do understand, like, whenever Owen's name is mentioned, it's always number one. I mean, the guy is in every wrestling fan's heart.
Yeah.
And he's so over now than he was when he was alive, which makes it more special.
Yeah.
You know, if Owen wouldn't have died, that gimmick with the blue blazer would have been great as the IC champion. Imagine having Owen Hart as the blue blazer with the gold.
Yeah.
And I love what they're doing there, having other people, even Coco Beware being the blue blazer.
Jeff Jarrett was one.
Yeah.
Who was?
Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah. It was such a fun gimmick that was ruined in such a horrible way.
Yeah.
And would have loved to see what they were going to do with that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Vince is big on gimmicks. The blue blazer was a gimmick, but you know, Owen changed the capacity of it. I mean, he changed the mindset of it. He could have been pissed off and just been like, and kind of half-assed it. But he was behind it 100%. He loved being the blue blazer.
Say your prayers and drink your milk.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is, of course, our top 10 list. You know, again, this is another episode where we'll probably have a part 2 and maybe even a part 3. But holy cow. The names on that list are just some of the most iconic names in professional wrestling. That guys that covered their face in masks or wore face paint. You know, all of them are Hall of Famers for sure. So, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. You, of course, can go to our website to follow us on all our social media posts. I agree. The next list needs to have Ultimo Dragon and Psychosis. I don't disagree with that at all. That's on my short list for part 2. But Piper better have been.
How would Piper better be on the list? He never wore.
Do you remember the was it with when he had a black to one side?
Oh,
I remember that was so racist. We can't put that on the list.
Yeah, we can't put that on the list. Blackface is not cool. So you can follow us on social media by going to our website, effingwrestling.com. There you go, find all the links, our Facebook page, our Twitter pages. You can find us everywhere. If you want to get a shirt like Effing Wrestling, the Canada Dry shirt, the Owen Tribute shirt that's behind Canada Dry. I'm not wearing one today because I have to do laundry. I'm wearing my Goonies shirt. You can find us on prowrestlingtees.com/effing wrestling. And it's funny that we talked about masks because I do recall a patriotic person that would wear a mask and had a blonde mustache. Was Hulk Hogan at all upset that we did not include him in our top 10 list of masks and face paint?
Because of Miss America sucked.
But there's the problem here, JFB. I totally forgot.
Yeah.
I promised Hulk Hogan he would be on the list. So he's not going to be happy. This is going to delay his appearance on the show another week or two. I don't know. There's going to be some patching up to be done.
Yeah.
So with that note, Effing Wrestling 87, Hulk Hogan 0, Canada Dry out.
This has been an Effing Worldwide Media production. You can find us on Twitter at All Effing Wrestling or at Effing Podcast. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Effing Wrestling. After that, why don't you go ahead and throw a T on your back? You can find us on the Pro Wrestling Tees store at prowrestlingtees.com/Effing Wrestling. You can find all of this at our new website, effingwrestling.com. And as